Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're just a minute before I'm at 9 o'clock Mountain Time in the morning. And so I'm going to give it a minute as people are arriving. 'Cause it takes a little bit for Facebook to transfer this information. So we'll give it a minute. And I'm just going to invite you to arrive here as you are into this space. I'm going to hold space and a place here for you on the web, the social media, just to anchor in and take a few deep breaths and join me here. We're going to be here for just about 10 minutes, and I'm going to take us through a little guided healing and also do a talk for a moment. So, just as you are arriving in this space, let's take a moment, ground ourselves, and feel as you're grounding yourself that what grounding means on the energetic level is that our energy comes in to our body and it comes down in our body energetically. And grounding also is very connected to the earth element, the earth frequency. So that can include being on the earth. So, literally, feet on the earth, sitting on the earth, making connection to Mother Nature, and really having that earth frequency. And I'm recommending that we get low to the ground as often as we can right now. So as you can, when things are upheaved, in your system, if there's anxiety, lay on the ground, sit on the ground, get deeply grounded in yourself. So we'll take a moment here just to do this as we're, excuse me, arriving here in our bodies and in this space. You can close your eyes and find your way to the ground on some level. Seated, you can recline. If you can sit on the floor, sit on the floor. And as you deepen your breath is a big aspect of settling your nervous system and your mind. It's an aspect of your nervous system and your spiritual body. We're going to deepen our breath as if your inhales, they fill your belly, but I'd like you to imagine that you're bringing your inhales all the way down to the pelvic floor. So it's as if the pelvic floor breathes. Like, obviously your lungs expand and contract, the diaphragm expands and contracts, but on an energetic level, we're going to imagine here that the pelvic floor does the same. So you're deepening your breath all the way down to your pelvic floor. Inhaling and exhaling. Emptying out your air. And inhaling and exhaling. And a couple more as we ground here and arrive and call all of our energy into this present moment. You're inhaling and exhaling. Slowing down your breath, slowing down your mind. You can keep this breath cycle going with deep, long inhales down to the pelvic floor and deep, long exhales. Very full body detoxifying exhales out, and you're cleansing your body through these exhales. And as you're doing this deep breath breathing, we'll just envision here your powerful grounding cord from your hips to the center of the earth. Secure around your hips and your sit bones is your grounding cord. If you're reclined, then your grounding cord is extends from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet. So as you're laying on the ground, everything that's making contact with the earth is the top of your grounding cord from there. So from there down into the earth. And we'll just allow that connection and let it go deeper than the crust of the earth. Let it go down into the center of the earth where there's way more stability and solid earth, and holding. And we're going to take a moment here to ground your heart. So, for many of us, again, you can keep your eyes closed or open. I'm going to say a few things as we do this. For many of us, our hearts are activated, and activated in that, there's anxiety, there's tremendous fear, there is, there's also a lot of heart and empathy for people. People who are losing their lives and people who are helping other people. People on the front lines. Empathy for those who are losing their jobs and stressed about where the food's going to come from, how the bills are going to get paid. All of this is very real right now, and so we're just going to take a moment and really ground your heart. And so if you're upright, we're just going to ask for a grounding cord, an extension. So we just worked with the grounding cord into the earth. We're going to add an extension to your grounding cord. So imagine that you're grounding, there's another root that forms from the base of your heart chakra. So not necessarily just the physical heart, but the heart chakra as well, which is this beautiful power center of your heart. And we're going to extend, or just imagine that there's a root, a grounding cord from your heart. And that grounding cord goes down through the belly, through the pelvis, into your grounding cord. And if you're reclined, then you can just ask for that grounding cord to be on the back of your heart, extending into the earth. Take a few deep breaths and just let your heart release any upholding tension, stress, anything you need here in your heart. Take a few deep breaths and exhale, letting your heart release here into the earth. Good. And all together for ourselves and for the world right now, the big collective dump of stress, holding, emotion, etc. Let your exhales release that down into your grounding cord. We're going to let it extend and release down into the earth where it will be transformed as pure, clear, clean consciousness, pure, clear, clean energy into the earth. And just as you're breathing, you're going to let your breath continue to support your body through letting go and detoxing and releasing here. And I'm going to hold a light of grace around each of us individually, that we're held during this time with all that is. And there is no right or wrong about any feelings or anything we're experiencing in our human experience during the time where the earth ship is being rocked here, our earth element. So I pray here that we are surrounded collectively in a beautiful light of protection and prayer as we're moving through these times. And I pray that as we come here together in this moment, that our showing up in our heart and our consciousness and our support of ourselves and others, that creates a coherence, a heart coherence that outreaches to those who may need it. And that we offer this prayer up to anyone on the planet right now who is in need of light, of support, of healing, of just a moment to feel themselves. So I offer this prayer up. And then here collectively, as you come back into your body, I'm just going to say a couple of things in this moment. And you can, keep your eyes closed, you can keep your eyes open, you can breathe and just keep letting your body kind of exhale and ground as I'm talking. I wanted to share really that, there is really an array of emotions that can certainly be coming up during this time, and all of it's appropriate. There's a way that we can feel fear and spin out, or feel fear and want to get away from the fear out of the feeling. And we can polarize the feeling. And I'm using fear as an example, but it can be anger, it can be grief, it can be anything else. But um, what what works against us in emotions is when we make the emotion wrong. When we start to create this container of, good emotions are the happy, the joy, the fullness. Bad emotions are the fear and the anger, and we create a split. And what that ends up doing is fragmenting ourselves around, I have no ground, no compass, no container for myself when the quote unquote bad feelings happen. And this happens in childhood. We learn our emotional intelligence and capacity very, very early on. Have the good feelings, don't have the bad feelings. And when you have the bad feelings, quickly get over them to get to the good feelings. Shake it off, do whatever. And sometimes that can be appropriate. Let's shake this off. But when it's coming from the intention that there's something wrong with you when you're having these bad feelings, then we lose our ground. We lose our capacity to hold ourselves. We sink into depression. We sink into a deeper spiral. We go into anxiety. We go into projection. We make the other person wrong for the feelings that are happening. We blame, shamed, we do all these things, and we retreat. All these different coping mechanisms around the quote unquote negative feelings. And what's needed more than ever, especially as we're in this collective experience, is that we give each other and ourselves connection for the quote unquote negative feelings. I'm afraid right now. I'm scared. And that we hold somebody and ourselves in that fear. I hear you. And again, if you're saying this to myself, that makes sense that you would feel afraid. I get it completely, and I'm afraid too. And I just am going to let myself in this moment have that feeling. The flip side is, oh my goodness, let me fix your fear. Let me help you get out of it. This is not a good feeling to have. And then we create additional anxiety on top of what is already anxiety provoking. We're all in some level of fear, and I will say this for myself. I hold this like ground because there's a part of me that feels like some level of of bliss. And no, that's not the right word. I feel, and that sounds like not even appropriate to say it that way, but I feel a level of okayness through all of this. And I also feel at the same time some anxiety through it all. My fear, if I were to name it for myself, is I am prone to respiratory infections. I have always been. I have asthma. I have exercise and allergy induced asthma is where it started, and over the years it's increased to having asthma that pops up whenever there's inflammation or airborne stuff going on. And that creates for me a way that I take care of myself. It's like, well, I don't need to give into the fear, or I can hold myself around the fear and say, this is a way I need to take care of myself during this time. And so I'm just giving you a personal example. Now, in this moment, as I'm sharing my part of it, but I'm also aware that, people are dealing with real situations. We have children at home, and children at home who aren't used to being at home and disconnected from their friends, and around parents to this degree, and the parents don't get a break because there's a juggle going on. And then we've got people who can't go to work and put food on the table, and real fears about finances, and how this economy is going to sustain, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, we've got all of this going on, and I just want to hold that compassionate connection that I hear you, and your fears are appropriate, absolutely appropriate. And I want to give you a connection to take a deep breath in to that feeling and hold you in that right now, because you're not alone. This is a collective issue. I want to hold you in that human experience. And I'm going to invite you to lean back and lean back into an invisible current of grace. Because during crises and during mass opening in this way, where there's fear and there's immense compassion and caring, and people are opening up to the degree. The back of the heart chakra opens up for us. And we've experienced the split. And the split is that I'm feeling duality. And the duality is I have anxiety and fear, or I feel something. Maybe it's not anxiety and fear. I feel something for the collective. I feel empathy. I feel something on the human experience. And I also feel for some reason that everything is going to be okay. And it's not logical. I see the graphs, I see the trajectory. I'm taking precautions. And at the same time, something else is opening up. And I don't understand it mentally. And the truth is, you're not supposed to understand it mentally. We're supposed to surrender to the experience of grace entering into our being to reconstruct us as a consciousness, as a species, as dropping us out of the mind, taking us out of our inner insanity that's already been there this whole time, inviting us to recreate, restructure. Our structures are dismantling. And those of us who have been on this path for so long now have been working actually towards this, towards the reconstructing and reconstructing. And we're leaning back into this, and this lean back is into trust, and it's into infusion of faith, and it's into infusion of creativity and inspiration and source. And the duality might be confusing sometimes. Well, I feel this for the human experience, and I also feel this, and the two are coexisting. And I will tell you now that is absolutely normal to have that level of duality happening in your system right now. It is part of spiritual expansion happening, you waking up, all of us waking up to something bigger, greater, to the planet changing, to perhaps even global warming shifting, as some of the um, heat starts to come down in the ways that we've been out there toxifying the planet, that starts to come down as the heart starts to open more and infuse into our being. All of this is part of an experience that's happening on this interpersonal level, impersonal, very personal level in our bodies. You're going to feel both the anxiety, the concern, the empathy, the decisions to take care of self and others perhaps, and this profound opening, and what we do and what I would recommend in this process is continue to ground yourself, ground your heart, ground back, lean back into your pillar of grace, infuse yourself in prayer, in meditation. I'm not saying that to be hokey or metaphysical or too woo woo. I'm truly saying that on the energetic level, we are getting an infusion right now. And so it is important that we take time, pause, receive that infusion of grace and allowing it to open things up, because we are called to expand in a bigger way in the world. It may not be right now or in the next month. It might take a couple months. And I don't know the time frame. That's arbitrary. But we are called to deconstruct and reconstruct. And so in this time, lean back, call in prayer, ground your heart, ground your body, let yourself have moments where your energy system can handle the upgrade, can take the upgrade that's happening, and then you can take whatever right action that you need to take from there, whatever you need to handle right in front of you. So I wanted to leave you with this piece. I hope this was supportive. You are welcome to comment below and share here in this thread, and I send you lots of love and blessings during this time. Also, please visit the Facebook page for the longer grounded meditation that I did earlier this week. It's also up on YouTube if you're not on Facebook, and you can share it if you know people who might benefit from it's a chakra clearing and a grounding meditation. It speaks to what we're going through right now. So many blessings, lots of love. May this spread out to those who may benefit from this work. Dear God, thank you for this time. May we all be held during this time of deep inner work and of collective healing on the planet. I send blessings to each one of you, many blessings, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you.